How's it going, everybody? Today what we're going to be doing is showing you a video on how to look over a car for purchase. So if you're planning on buying a car, what are the things you got to look for? So right now I got this 2005 Hyundai Elantra. This is the base model. We're showing you everything to look over this car to just see if it's a good car or not. Bear with me, it is a little bit cold today. It's 40 something degrees. I'm not a big fan of the cold. I can't deal with the cold well, so if you just hear me start dying, just ignore it. But what we're going to do is we're going to look over the car mechanically. And right now what we're going to do is we're going to do like a kind of sweep of the outside. Noticing what's everything on the outside that looks weird with it, right? It looks wrong. And first thing I can tell you right off the bat is that this front bumper. That bumper does not look like the paint of the car. It's unpainted. You can tell they use tape over things like this right here. You can tell what looks normal and what doesn't. That's what the bumper looks like. That if you notice on top too, this car is from Ohio. I don't know if you can see it well on the camera, but there's little dimples in it. Big thing of that is it could be hail marks. I know it does hail up north, so it could be where that's from. Another thing is that rust. A little bit of rust right here on the windshield wiper arms. If you guys don't remember, my side used to look like that. But then what happened was I ended up getting it repainted. It's actually my first YouTube video. You should go check it out. Repainting those. Another thing, the dude said he replaced the wiper arms, or the wipers. However, I can tell you that this is a completely different wiper than that. I don't know if it's really giving me that idea, but I'm just going on a hunch here. So I'm assuming he only replaced one wiper, left the other one alone. But way to check wipers. Lift that thing up in the air, make sure it doesn't fall. Then feel on the bottom and the top. If it starts to peel off, it's starting to become no good. You can also test it when you get in the car. We'll test that in a little bit. Wipers feel good. Are they good? I don't know. We gotta figure that out in a little bit. But now we're coming down. We're gonna look at the tires. So they're here. They got a decent amount of tread left. They're not new, but they're not like bad either. The guy, you can also notice that he painted the HUD I rather painted the steelies, but you know, it's whatever. And I don't know if you can see inside there. He won't be able to. Check the brakes. How are the brakes looking? The brakes in here look fine. This right here, this stuff is all cosmetic. Not a big deal, unless it's something you're very concerned about. One thing that could draw for concern is this right here. Got a little bit of rust forming on the door here. Also notice some little dings and like dents and stuff in the door there. Nice generous scratch going along down here. I don't know how well the camera's picking up all this stuff. Got some scratches around the plate though. A little sun fading there. To me personally, I just kind of simply ignore all the cosmetic stuff. Got a little bumper, because I mean, like looking at a car with paint like this, you'd think I really care about some scratches. But some people are very particular about that, and I can understand why. You want to look good when you're driving. Just the side body. Got a little part of the paint chip and stuff rusting there. Check the roof as well. How's the roof looking? Yeah, you can see a little bit more dings on the hood up here. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's hard to see the camera because the sun's like, you can see a little bit. Yeah, you can see like the dings up there and stuff. But yeah, so that's just looking over the outside of the car. Now, the next thing we're going to do is look on the inside of the car. We got a key fob. It's a Hyundai key fob. According to that little stamp logo, I never thought they looked like that. But you could tell one thing about it is that it was mummified in tape, and Scotch tape. So it's something to do with the key fob probably falling apart. But key fob works, so. Okay, it works half the time, but yeah, that's one thing with the fob. And then this car also comes with 2 keys. Like I said, this is the original. That's just a remake they made at Lowe's. You get a key for the car. Make sure they both work. So this one, if it works, sells the original key. And I got the not original key, the Lowe's key. Make sure that works as well. And that also does work. Next thing, I'm going to try and turn the car on for the first time. Check for everything. Check engine light. Make sure check engine light comes on. Make sure your brake light's on. I have the e-brake up. Battery light. Your car's running off the battery, so make sure the battery light's on. Your oil pressure light. And I guess my seatbelt, which I'm not wearing. And turn the car on. But The car running, it sounds pretty great. The only thing when you're doing it in the car is you want to kind of go from left and right, checking all the features that the car might have. So obviously we got powered windows. We got 4 powered windows. So check to make sure the windows go down, and then brake up. Alright, so those all work. Next, you got your door lock. Make sure that down's unlocked, front's locked. And it's doing it to all of your doors. Doing great. You got your window lock, so make sure you press that, and none of the windows should roll down. Your passenger, he sucks. He doesn't get a window. Next is your powered mirrors. So if your car has powered mirrors or manual mirrors, you'll typically have a knob here if it's a manual power here. Test it, see how it works well. Check your lights. Just check the light thing, so you can see the gauge cluster is backlit, so it works. Right now when we give it, turn the lights on, you can go out in front of the car, see if they work. Go to the side, make sure you're clocked. Is it accurate? 1021. 1021, yes, pretty accurate. You got a hazard switch, make sure that works. Got the original radio, looking snazzy. Make sure the radio works.
And it's maybe a little more.
Okay, well, I don't know what song that is. I'm gonna go to. I got nothing but love in my mind. I need a baby. Alright, so that sounded like it worked. I got FM, AM. Apparently it's a cassette player. There's your climate control. Right now I got the heat on because it's cold. But you also want to check the AC, so I'll let it go to cold. Hit the AC button. You can hear the compressor kick on. It's kind of important. And then just wait a couple minutes. I'm going to put this right here on the face. Or max AC. Feel that? You can't feel it. That is brisk. Next you got your cigarette things. Make sure they all work and whatnot. I have this little Bluetooth thing I use. So take that out. Plug this in. Thing's getting power, 14.2 volts. Same thing with the cigarette lighter. Take that out because smoking is bad for you. Plug that in. 14.1 volt. Get your ashtray. One thing you notice about this car, well, I don't know if you notice, it's really nasty. really, really nasty. I actually got this spray stuff here too. Next, you got the gear shifter. Like I said, it's nasty. Get your cup holders. E-brake. Make sure e-brake works. Put your car in neutral. Drop it, your car might roll. Pick up your e-brake. Is it holding the car? Seems like it is. The one thing we want to do is you want to go through all the gears. So in here, this car actually has a gear indicator in the gauge cluster, which is nice to have. What you want to do is you just want to put it in each gear and then let it sit there for a couple seconds. So see how well it goes in the gear. This car does have not a lot of miles, but it has a lot of age on it, a lot of years on it. So what that thing is because you're all for concern with sitting. The car's been sitting a lot. Because the car's been sitting a lot, there's a lot of dry rot, and rubber does not sit well. Cars are meant to be driven. You got your glove box with all your paperwork in it. You want to make sure it has an owner's manual. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to roll down the window, open the door, as much as I can, big stretch, and pop the hood. We're going to look underneath the engine. Alright, next let's go under the hood. Let's see what the engine is. No, there we go. So this right here does have the 2-liter inline 4, but it's a dual overhead cam, so you got the 16 valves. Next what we're going to do is we're going to take off this engine cover though, just to see what's under it. Cover off. Engine here, so you can tell there's a little bit of a, I don't know if you can see it from where the camera's at, but a little bit of oil leaking right around this area. That could just be from oil changes and whatnot over time. This engine is pretty laid out, pretty straightforward. I actually like how simple it is. You got your intake on this side. It goes underneath a good bit and goes into the side of the engine. You got your fuel rail right here, spark plugs right here, so super easy to get to. You got your exhaust right here. So next you want to take out all these boots and make sure that there's no oil and stuff on them, because if there is, then, well. So next you want to check the oil level and oil. So always wipe it off first. this thing, get a clean level. And the dipstick could tell you a lot more than just oil level. So you look into it, you got different things here. The oil in here was just changed recently. I actually changed it myself. But you notice it's right at the full line. And the oil level looks pretty good. If you see anything that's like milky in there, that could be cause for concern or whatever. But after I'm done with like looking over a car, always, every time I get a car, always change the oil right away. Just because, I mean, A, it never hurts to change the oil. And B, you'll know when it's due again. And then it's like, you also got power steering. Check your power steering. How's the fluid in that? You can't see with the camera. You look in there. That is really dark. It's kind of looking like some coffee. So that there could go for a change. The level on it is nice and good, so you're good there. Next you want to do is when you're just on this side of the engine, look at all these like little rubber lines and hoses, especially when a car sits for as long as these cars sit. Yeah, you want to make sure none of these lines are, starting to decompose or starting to dry rot. You want to make sure there's no cracking, there's no liquid. See how all this stuff looks pretty dry right here? It's really, really good. It's really what you want to see. Next thing here is these dry belts. Same thing with the dry belts. Make sure that they don't look too bad in shape. These right here, these dry belts, they don't look bad. However, it wouldn't hurt to replace them. Well, on the front wheel drive car, the transmission will always be on the jar side, deep in the engine bay. That's what we got down there. When you're down there, check to see if it's leaking anything. Fluids, oils. And same thing, if you see any rubber hoses, check through all the rubber hoses, check your grounds. But next you want to check your oil or your air filter. There we go. So pop this cover off. There's typically 2 clips or maybe a couple screws. Something with an orange band, it's probably a Fram filter. How do you guys see that? It's not too bad. Next you got your brake fluid back here. You can tell this hasn't been changed in a while because it's dusty. Look in there. Yeah, looks a little bit like coffee as well, so that wouldn't hurt to change either. Next is transmission fluid. Transmission fluid. You typically want to check it when the cars are running in an operating temperature. However, if the transmission has a dipstick, I'll check the dipstick. This will just kind of tell you exactly what you got going on here. Transmission fluid is looking a little dark, so I'll go ahead and change that out. Another thing I'll check is the battery. Batteries are important. So this right here does have a date, 1/21. So the battery's actually replaced about a year ago. However, it never hurts to double check it. A lot of people won't have these. It makes sense. I mean, if you're not like checking batteries on a bunch of cars and whatnot, you could use a multimeter, which is something that's a little bit more common, has more use to it. But I want to use this real quick. So right now we're pulling around 13 volts, which is something you want to see. Hit enter, hit battery test. We're doing an out of vehicle test because always makes you do this weird stuff. This is a flooded battery, so we're going to put regular cold cranking amps. So right on the battery, I'll tell you, it's right here. The battery is 700. So and this battery going to go all the way up to 700. I think it's a little overkill for this kind of car, but if it works, there we go. And I hit enter. It says the battery. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's a good battery. So, alright, that's the battery's good. I know Harbor Freight, when they had coupons, way back when, you can get one of these for free if you were to buy something. But you turn it on, have it working. What I'll do is to test this is, see if I can it down. But I kind of just plug your leads right into the batteries on the post. Oh, there you go, it's working ahead. Oh, so see there, it's around 12, 13. So that's pretty good. That's what you want to see. Now, one thing you can do is you can test the alternator. You can test your alternator, or alternator in a car. Obviously, when you turn a car on, make sure nothing's in the way of the belt to the fan, but same thing, test battery like you were, and you should be getting around 14 volts. If you get around 14 volts, and your alternator is charging your car properly. Now, we'll go turn the car off. Sweet. Now, when it comes to under the engine, that's all we're going to be checking today. So, what you want to do is when you get into a car, you want to open the door and then kind of like check everything. Kind of do like a basic check over. Like check like your weather stripping. Make sure your weather stripping's all good. Same here. From that side. Make sure like your little light, if you have a light there works. Just make sure everything doesn't look bad. Make sure your steel plates are intact. You got rug match. Buttons are there, not broken. Make sure these actually work too. To the back seat. Same thing with the back seat. Check steel plates. Check weather stripping. So if you got safety locks, always make sure that they work. Make sure you got your filler thing. Make sure you have a gas cap, obviously. Make sure it's on there tight. The truck actually it's really spacious. It's also really clean compared to the rest of the car. The rest of the car is nasty. You're also down in here. Ugh. But you got a spare tire. You got the tools and everything for the spare tire. There's a little tool bag right down there. Make sure this thing's also not filled with water. Because if it's filled with water in the bottom, it could be leaking. Also check to make sure you have pressure in there, which we do. And you want to make sure that back plate, we're going to figure something about that. Make sure the seat belts. Make sure the seat belts work. It's going to be hard to do one-handed. Like I already went through all this stuff. Make sure your seat belts work. Make sure you're looking over there, seat anchors and whatnot. I mean, I don't know why you're buying a car, but everyone's reason for buying a car could be different. Check these two things, your door jam stickers. This car does not have a speed rating. Some cars will have a speed rating, or tire sizes. And your tire should be put at 30 psi there. Right. Every car will have one of those stickers, or at least should have one. The next you got, obviously, your VIN plate sticker. You got March 14th, 2005 is when the car is manufactured. So you guys are right in the action. I'm actually going to turn the washer fluid thing on real quick. Just make sure that works. Hopefully I didn't destroy your view. And yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to go for a quick test drive. We're going to go up the street this way. So the camera might wobble a little bit. It's actually just freestanding on its tripod. Come to a stop, make sure you don't hear any squealing for bad brakes, or any vibration. Make sure the steering wheel doesn't try to snatch out your hand. You don't want to let go of the steering wheel. See the car is drifting side to side. It's going well. If you can get on the freeway, I recommend getting on the freeway. It rides and drives nice. Mechanically, it seems pretty solid. Now, back at the house. Place where I do all my housing activities, like war crimes. Hope you guys found this video informative and helpful for any of you guys trying to buy a car. I know recently on the car market, it's getting like out of control expensive for cars because not a lot of new stuff's coming in because of that microchip shortage, and a lot of people are just buying a bunch of used cars because a lot of people's loans are getting paid off and people like to get a new car and stuff. But thank you guys for staying tuned. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know in the description below. I'll be happy to answer those for you. See you guys in the next one.